So I'm back with another video, and welcome to my review of the BGVP DN3, which is a hybrid model. Full disclaimer is this is sent out to me by Hi-Fi Go, so thank you very much. I was not paid to do this video, and other thoughts and opinions are my own, and as you can see it's still sealed. I have no idea if this is actually what these actually sound like. As you can see it's still sealed. So yeah, let's get straight into the video. So I've just took the wrapping off. These looks very similar to another model, which doesn't come to mind, but anyway, they do look something very similar. So BGVP, the last one I tried from them was the Zero, which was the DD magnetostatic, which was okay. But anyway, so it's beryllium DD, and HEVK is like a higher treble BA. I think it's a Knowles. I'm not quite sure, but HEVK and DD, so it's a 2-driver hybrid. Sensitivity is 109 dB, impedance is 19 ohms. So these should be fairly easy to power. Obviously frequency response is 10 Hz to 40 kHz, and that's why on the front it's got the high res verification. Distortion, cable difference, rated power 8 milliwatts, cable length 1.2 meters, and the weight's about 5 grams. Obviously that's the same in Chinese website, and obviously address information there. And yeah, so the power of editing, I'm going to actually unbox these. So this is what it comes in. So quickly take that off. Pouch, BGVP. Seems okay. Some paperwork, or just a card. BGVP, the best experience. I guess just bits of information. The best experience. Oops. So it's 1 page per language, shall we say. Burning in, if you do that, or levels. Actually it's levels you can listen to for a particular time. So 115 dB for 0.25 hours, so 15 minutes. Yeah, sounding in different languages. So these are the black ones, and they are MMCX. So this is the left one. That's a crazy kind of effect. Reminds me of like Hi-Femin, Hi-Femin planars, MMCX. Oops, this is a little lip on the nozzle. Seems really well built, seems solid. So you get memory foams. This is a pair there. So you get bass ear tips and vocal ear tips. So it looks like the actual vocal one, as you can see the difference is the ball's much wider. So yeah, so I'm quite curious to see what the differences are between them. QC card in the bottom. So yeah, I'm going to unravel that now and see what it's like. So a right angle connector, which I do like. It's only 2 poles, so there's no microphone. There's the branding BGVP. Feels kind of rubbery. So I'll have to see what this is like and me actually using it outside in the field, shall we say. But obviously Y split there. Chin slider, which works pretty good because it's been a rubber cable. Blue obviously for left, red for right. MMCX, which is a bit of a shame. I'd like to have seen 2-pin. And that's it really. Not quite sure. So obviously I'm going to try this cable out. Obviously I'm quite intrigued that these different tips, basically wide bore and more of a narrow bore, to see what they're like. And yeah, so I'm going to throw a few hours on these, and obviously through the power of time and editing, I'll be back with my actual impressions. So finally on to the actual review. This is the left one, as you can see. They're not symmetrical. The S, well, it looks like an S, is the right one, as you can see. Red for obviously right, blue, black for left. So you can see from there, very straightforward. Even if you're colourblind or anything like that, you can at least see from the actual emblem that's the right one. So that's pretty cool. Give you a proper look at it. So MMCX, the connectors seem to work fine. I would have personally preferred 2-pin, but that's it. So there's a lip on there. That's what they look like. Very good build quality. I think it's an aluminium alloy, but I can't really. They seem to be built really well. Sorry about the reflections. It throws the camera off. But yeah, really good build quality. Easy to power as well. No issues at all. And most of my testing was done with my Topping L30 on low gain, because it's a great amp, so I've used it for that. I've tried it with some of my digital players. Again, no issues at all, so it's fine. Let's get on to isolation. I find isolation very kind of average, shall we say. Nothing that may be all good or bad for your situation. Same imaging. Imaging was okay. Nothing amazing. Wasn't bad, wasn't great, kind of somewhere in the middle. And yeah, let's get on. Comfort was okay. I've tried better items for comfort. Well, sorry, I've had better items for comfort. I've also had worse items that don't fit as well. So it's kind of in the middle for a few of these things. Sound. So this is where it probably gets a little bit complicated. So sound is, it comes with the tips, the memory foam tips, the vocal tips, which are classed as wide bore, and the bass tips, which are classed as small bore. So I'm going to overlay the graph now, and it seems to be very difficult to actually graph these as close as possible. And on the graph, the actual green one is the wide bore, and the red one is the narrow bore, which is probably the best way to describe it. So bass response, as you can see on both, is slightly elevated. These are not bass heavy at all. It's kind of a good level. The driver the views for low end seems quite competent in actual performance. I can't really say much about the low end. It is what it's supposed to. It's not bass light, it's not bass heavy. As you can see, the sub bass does roll off a little bit, but it's only about 50 to 60 hertz, so it's not too bad. So you don't get the full kind of subwoofer effect, but it's fine really. And these are priced around $75, so that's one thing to bear in mind. Mids, again, lower mids are quite clean, to be honest. There's a little bleed, but only a little bit. Male vocals, per kind of same fine, really, nothing really bad to say. The deal with these is when you get further up the food chain, shall we say. So upper mids, as you can see, it's when you get to 1 to 1.5, it's a gradual rise and then it's steep. So depends on what tracks you listen to and genres. Some female vocals are more forward than the others. Some are very easy to listen to and some aren't. As you can see, it shoots up quite high at like 2K, from like 1.5 to 2. It's quite a rise. So, like I just said, depends on who you are listening to or whatever genre. So some vocalists sound shouty, as people say, and some don't. Some tracks I listened to was very easy to listen to, and some wasn't. So you always have to bear that in mind. But as you can say, there's one thing to note is around the 5K bits, see where there's a peak. Now you can get sibilance on certain tracks. It all depends on what your source is. Like I've tried this with a couple of films or a couple of movies and it works perfectly fine. You don't really see flaws, or sorry, hear the flaws. I tried with some casual gaming and these again work fine for that. It just depends, because music is technically kind of more repetitive. But for it all, it's very specific to your needs. But you can see it is elevated at just over 2K, so the lower treble region. Some tracks, again, I had no issues, and some I did notice that, so you have to bear that in mind. These do have a slightly brighter, they're a neutral to bright presentation up there. If you're treble head, you probably like these. Compared to some, like I prefer slightly darker in the treble to make it less fatiguing. These probably can be fatiguing if you use them for longer periods of time. It all depends on the use case. A lot of people who comment in my videos actually use IEMs for gaming, so that's quite a different kind of situation. I don't. I use headphones for gaming. Obviously, these are just purely for me, for music. Obviously, I try testing with different things. And yeah, so on the whole, the 2 pairs of tips that come with it, the wider bore tips seem to sound a little brighter than the narrow bore. And the narrow bore seems slightly more bass response, because the graph doesn't tell all the details. So yeah, so you go with it what you want. But the graph, I graphed each one about 25 times each. For each tip, so that's the best combinations of about me graphing about 50 times. Just very difficult for some reason, because you're meant to get the peak as close as you can to 8K if you can. Otherwise, if you graph it too narrow or too far out, it seems to affect bass response. But I digress. So anyway, so these do have a neutral to bright presentation. They do have an elevated lower treble. I'd prefer that to be smoother, but then again, you can always EQ to your heart's content. The actual low end on these is actually pretty good. I was quite happy with its performance, and it sounds quite clean really. They're not bass heavy, but they're not really that bass light, so it's quite fine there. But on the whole, I think these are actually okay. I don't know which driver they use. It says I think TWFK. They don't mention Knowles, so I'm not quite sure, but the driver seems competent enough in its performance. Micro details are actually I found was quite good. Again, like overall, I think these are around $75, I'm sure, which I think equates to about £55. But for $75, they do seem to perform, I think, fine. Now, the thing is, I haven't tried many BGVP products, and there's a product that predates this. And they stated it had a beryllium driver, and when people opened it up, it didn't. I don't know the actual driver quantity that's in this. I'm not gonna butcher them and open them up. But the driver seems competent in its performance, and I think that's pretty much it. It's already coming up to maybe 8 minutes in this section, but on the whole, they're not too bad at all. It really could do with a smoother lower treble region. The rest of it sounds fine, and it's very easy to listen to. The treble may put some people off. Some people may have no issues with it at all. On the whole, I found these okay. Just in certain parts, it was a little bright for me. But then you can always EQ or even use the memory foams it actually comes with. So it actually comes with memory foam. But on the whole, for $75, they perform okay, and these actually do undercut the Audio Legacy 2. I like those pair, but they actually cost more than this. You have to bear that in mind. They're also a 2-driver hybrid. And yeah, the treble could do with a little bit smoother, but apart from that, they're not a bad hybrid. And yeah, say good build quality, the actual good accessories. Cable is a little bit rubbery, but it seems to work fine and seems to be built well enough. Obviously, long-term usage will actually, if there's any issues with it. And I think that might be pretty much it. But yeah, on the whole, they're not too bad at all. They're not perfect. They could do, like I was saying, they could do with a smoother treble. And apart from that, the sound okay. If you don't like it, you can always EQ a bit. They are a little bit, they can be shouty, upper mids, lower treble. And I think that's pretty much it. As usual, as I say, just any particular questions, do let me know in the comments. If you do like what I do, if you could give me a like and subscribe, as it obviously helps me a lot. And more you like, more people see these videos, and obviously more products I can probably try in the future. And I think that's pretty much it. So thanks for watching, and take care.